Yes. Welcome. As we begin, please turn off or silence any electronic devices that may disturb the service. I invite you to enjoy the chapel in the back of the sanctuary and note joys and concerns in the book there. If you have little ones, we have a nursery downstairs, and after our service, I invite you all downstairs to enjoy hospitality and greet one another. Just as a quick announcement, the In-Between needs our voices this week. The new hospice for the homeless is in danger of being closed down due to possible new zoning ordinances. Please see the Happenings Hub for more information. And also, just real quickly, our bake sale to raise funds for meals at the Homeless Youth Resource Center is during coffee hour. Please check your order of service for further announcements and how to be involved in our vibrant community.
Hello, my name is Anne Hess, member of the Board of Trustees. I welcome you today. Come, whoever you are. You are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears. You are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, you are welcome here.
Good morning. Can you hear the sound of cowboys? And Johnny Cash singing quite an amazing song. This is not our usual decoration. I feel I must say this because I have seen people today I have not seen before. There is not usually a Patty's Parlor. And because the senior high, our youth are here at this moment, I want to thank them because this is evidence of the auction, and our youth provided the underpinnings for the auction. They kept the children happy and engaged downstairs, and they served and washed dishes and did many wonderful things. We thank them. I also want to especially welcome all of you who are coming with hearts broken by the recent happenings in this part of the world that have had vibrations that have gone all over this world. You are very welcome in our midst. I begin on this beautiful autumn day with the words of Victoria Safford, a Unitarian Universalist minister serving a church in Minnesota. She wrote, "Spirit of life and love, moving in the wind and over all waters, shining in sunlight and starlight, rustling in wild autumn grasses, spirit that murmurs over the darkening desert, gentling the land, spirit that sings in the voices of birds, the voices of children, great spirit, moving in all things and in the breath of each of us, gracious God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming, gather us in. Gather us in from the four winds. Gather us in from our challenging week. Gather us in from the experiences of this day. Gather us into this quiet, this time together. gather us in all our splendor and differences. In all our splendor and differences, I invite you to stand in body or spirit, and we will sing our opening hymn, number 305, in the great hymnal, De Colores.
And in the spirit of differences, we will sing all the verses last time through, completely in Spanish.
If Annika could please come forward to help us with the chalice lighting. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action.
I would like to invite anyone who is young at heart, or actually young, to come and sit here. I am going to tell you a story from my homeland. Hi. While everyone is gathering, I want you to look at this altar we have here and at the painting. This is the painting. What is anybody want to venture?
It's someone.
It is someone. Yes. Okay, it's someone who performed miracles. That's a difficult word for Unitarian Universalists. I can see some faces out there. But let me tell you a little about Santa Rita. Santa Rita, she always has 2 children by her. Those are her children. They're twins. Do we have any twins here? Okay. And she lived in Italy, and she wanted from a very young age to be a nun, to live what she thought of as a holy life, and her parents wouldn't let her. And she married this man who was not a good man, and he hurt her. And then, after she had 2 children, this isn't a good story, but you see worse on television. So, yeah. Somebody came and killed her husband. And you know, in Italy, sometimes there are vendetta, where one person is killed, then another has to be killed. Sounds like what we do. Who killed her husband, and she said, we have to make peace. And that is why there's an olive branch. Her little children are holding an olive branch, because it was through making peace that she could do what she wanted. But she had to wait such a long time to do what she wanted. She is known as the saint of patience. So people go to her and they pray and they say, please give me patience. And this shrine to Santa Rita is only about an hour from our home in Arizona, the place where we lived before we came here. And every night, many people come to this shrine and pray. And many of those people have no food and no water, and they are praying for a way that they can go to safety. So that is the story of Santa Rita. And what you find often at the shrine, you find things that people have left from their country. Because many people, this is from Peru. Not very many people come from all the way south in Peru, but many people come from Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama. And they are so wanting to be able to do the thing that is in their heart that they leave something as they pray. So that is my story today. I'm sorry it was such a hard story with murders and so forth. And now we're going to sing you downstairs. Okay, thank you all for listening so beautifully. I invite you to listen to this sound and find that place of quiet within you, that place that has been called the still point of the turning earth. I invite you to extend yourselves downward and feel the earth that is very close to the soles of our feet, and down farther and farther through all those layers that are always changing, down to the fiery core. And then extend yourselves upward through the beautiful autumn sky and through this atmosphere that sustains our lives, and up farther and farther until our hands can touch the stars. Each day, we are part of this earth, and each Sunday we come to this place and gather, bringing with us joys and sorrows. In many ways, this day is like any other Sunday. And yet our joys are different, our sorrows are different. Rosine's mother died, and we stand with her in that grief. We also feel the pain that is within the LDS community and beyond due to the policy that was announced a week ago, and we reach out and hope that that suffering can be healed. And 2 days ago in Paris, hundreds of people prepared for a concert, and 120 did not return to their homes. This newest terrorist act will do its work in ever-widening circle. The people who left their homes without fear that night may consider that each trip out of their home could end in such a way. As people consider travel, they will begin to think of Paris as dangerous, just as we have come to see Cairo and Jerusalem and Damascus. I fear these words of retaliation, and into that fear let us ask leaders of this world to look into their hearts and to look into what has been done at other times of terror, and how retaliation is never the answer. Into the silence of this place, as we hold these joys and sorrows of the world, the refugees who continue to face danger, the migrants south of us who continue to cross the dangerous desert, let us hold them with us in this community. We will spend a minute of silence, and after I ring the bell, I invite you to say the name, the grasp of your arms who are suffering at this time. Let us hold them all in the love and light of this community. John. In the words of Kathleen McTeague, who traveled with us in our delegation to the borderlands of Arizona and Mexico last week, she wrote, "We breathe the common wind of the earth, no matter where we live, who we love, what language we speak. We drink the common water of the earth, no matter what our race, how long we live, the coverings we drape on our forms. We walk the common paths of the earth, no matter our belief, how far we move from home, the gold that we carry or its lack. May we live from these truths, our hearts open to the holiness all around us, and our hands turned always towards the common good. Amen." May we take this memory of the sound of breathing of those around us. May we take with us the hearts that are broken. May we take these back into our lives. Amen.
One way that we at South Valley support our community is to share our Sunday morning offerings. Today, we will share our offering with Unitarian Universalist Services Committee, the Refugee Crisis Fund. The UUSC and UUA have joined together to launch a special emergency response to the current refugee crisis, designed to reach its most vulnerable victims, women and children. The UUSC is focusing on safe passage of refugees and helping refugees access their rights in host countries. For more information, please see your order of service. Will you join with me in saying the words printed in the order of service for our offering? We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
A poem by Angela Arena, Prayers for Travelers. This is a prayer for all the travelers, for the ones who start out in beauty, who fall from grace, who step gingerly, looking for the way back. And for those who are born into the margins, who travel from one liminal space to another, crossing boundaries in search of center. This is a prayer for the ones whose births are a passing from darkness to darkness, who all their lives are drawn towards the light and keep moving, and for those whose journeys are a winding road that begins and ends in the same place, though only when the journey is completed do they finally know where they are. For all the travelers, young and old, aching and joyful, weary and full of life. The ones who are here and the ones who are not here. The ones who are like you, and they're all like you. And the ones who are different, for in some ways we each travel alone. This is a prayer for traveling mercies and sure-footedness, for clear vision, for bread, for your body and spirit, for water, for your safe arrival, and for everyone you see along the way.
Oh,
2 weeks ago, on the Sunday night before I left on my journey as a witness to what is happening in the borderlands of Arizona and Mexico, I had one of those long moments before sleep when I wondered what the heck I was doing. In that dark, vulnerable time before sleep, images came to me of stories I'd heard when we lived in the Sonoran Desert, and flashes from that new movie, Sicario, with Emily Blunt. I'd just seen the preview about her going into Mexico to fight the drug cartels, the terrorism of the narcotraficantes. I felt fear that I would not return to the woman I love, to our dog Louie, and to you, this ministry I love, this congregation that creates such amazing parties as we had last night. I finally did sleep, and hours later I was there, walking through the desert and talking with people and feeling their fear, their courage, and their hope that is the hope of all humans, the hope to be able to be with and provide for the beings they love. There are many ways to separate families and break hearts. There is evidence in this sanctuary today, and I found evidence in the Sonoran Desert borderlands of Arizona. On the second day of the UU College of Social Justice delegation to the borderlands, we took one day to walk in the desert, to experience the Migrants' dangerous walk from south to north. The path was hard. Cactus and mesquite needles pulled at our clothing and became attached to our shoes, pants, shirts, and arms. We encountered a water tank meant for horses, unfit for humans, and used by migrants who crossed in the night and then made them deathly ill. For the most part, these travelers have been pushed out in the desert, and I can give you a long reading list for that. This is not the point of my sermon. But most of them have been pushed out into the desert because their piece of land in Oaxaca or Chiapas was no longer able to support the lives of their families. Some are fleeing the violence of gangs in Honduras. Some have lived in this country for decades and don't even speak Spanish. But suddenly they have been taken from their homes and deported, and they are trying to return to their families in the States. I imagine that each of them felt fear as they prepared for their journey through the desert. They wondered, will I ever see my loved ones again? And many don't. Many migrants crossing the desert die of dehydration, blistered feet that become infected, and violence. The equivalent of a jet plane crash dies in the area through which I walked. And on our walk, we visited the graves of 3 people whose bodies were found separated. The first grave was one of a man, the other 2 found closer together, a woman and an adolescent boy. Are they father, mother, and son? Did they drink some of that contaminated water that we passed? Were they able to huddle together against the cold of the desert night and whisper their love of each other? Lori jurors, a woman living near where the 3 bodies were found, buried their remnants and then created crosses for their graves with the words desconocido, unknown person. And like the tomb of the unknown soldier, their graves represent the deaths of many others, still undiscovered, still desconocido. Their mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, and cousins are still searching for those who have disappeared, for the desaparecidos. When Jews, the Romani, the resistance fighters, and people of other identities, including lesbians, gays, transgender, mentally ill, people living with mental and physical disabilities, and even some liberal theologians, such as the Unitarian minister Norbert Chapek, arrived at the concentration camps. When they arrived at these camps, if they came in families, the first work was to separate them one from another and deny them the human right of those bonds of sustaining love. This is the love we speak of first when Mary Lou and I remember to have our time of gratitude in the morning, when tea does not call too loudly. And when we have that time, we always say first, I am grateful for you. And then we bask in the miraculous reality that if we have just awakened next to each other, and that within our life, the only way we can be separated is through death. And even then, we promise to find one another if there is a way. We did not always share this blessing. Decades ago, without a new policy that called us apostates, we separated without anybody telling us to do so. And we returned to the lives we had had before we fell in love. At that time, our suffering was invisible to the eye of the people around us. We suffered in silence, and we did things for which we could only blame ourselves. Our hands reached for the phone to call the bishop to confess. We wrote letters to each other, our beloveds, saying, we can be friends but not lovers, or I can't really see you much anymore. We heard stories, but only a small percentage of the stories that were out there, of others who reached for bottles of pills, guns, ropes, or accidentally fell off the edge of a cliff, disappeared, desaparecidos. Obituaries spoke of sudden, inexplicable, untimely deaths. Let's breathe for a moment. And let's think of those who died. And now, this pronouncement. This policy that openly classifies same-sex relationships as sinful and marks the children of these relationships once again spreads and deepens fear in ever-widening circles. Most of us who are LGBT and LDS have lived with fear. Whether we believe or don't believe, whether we are in or out of the church, fear that our beloved will regain her testimony. Not anymore. But the years we were separated. No, we had our testimonies then. It's a confusing story. Anyway, there was a time, and we don't want to remember that time, when we were afraid, and it came to pass in my case that I married someone. And there was that fear that someone would leave us for a better relationship where they could have a real family. And there was always a fear in friends of mine, friends of ours, a fear that their children would be taken away. And was the only bright spot for me that I didn't have children when I was married, because I knew He would have taken them away. And still, the fear that our parents' belief in the sinfulness of our life with someone of the same sex, the fear that it's hurting them, ruining their lives, causing them pain. Fear is not a stranger to us. And now we fear that our children will suffer, that they will be taken away physically, spiritually, emotionally, that somehow they will not be our children anymore. I can't imagine that pain, and I know that it is in this room. Let us sit in silence for a moment. In that silence, I imagine this. A young man meets a girl at an LDS regional dance and falls in love. When he tells his parents about her, they find out the sad news that she is that daughter of 2 mothers and is not baptized. But there is a way out. Romeo and Juliet can have a happy ending. When the girl reaches 18, only months away, she can be baptized and they can be married and receive all the blessings if only she denounces the relationship of her parents, of the women who stayed up with her in the night, who held her head when she was sick. There are many ways to separate families and break hearts. And I am angry. And I don't like to be angry. Anybody out there angry? Yes. That was pretty weak. Yes. Anybody out there angry? Yes. I saw a few smiles. Anger is sometimes a balm, especially collective anger, and we are angry. In 2010, the Senate bill SB 1070 was enacted in Arizona, and it targeted Latinos. Mothers and fathers left notes on their fridges for their children. If I don't return, they wrote, call this number. This person will care for you. With the slightest suspicion, police could stop people of color and ask for their documents. And if not found, they could take them into custody indefinitely, often without charge, in extreme conditions. disappeared, desaparecidos. Are you angry about this?
Yes.
Bigger. Are you angry about this?
Yes.
Can you imagine the pain of a parent having to write a note to their child that they would receive when they came home from school? That if your mother, if I do not return, go to someone else, because they will be caring for you now. These are human rights. The ability to protect our families, our rights to have families, our rights to be safe and free and live without fear. So what is the balm part? Is the answer no? Is there balm in the desert? I think the balm is around dispelling fear and many, many other things. There is not enough time for me to speak of all things. If you knew how many pages I left on the floor. So if you are interested, come to me and I'll show you those pages. But I wonder how we could find a salve, a healing balm for this time. If we did, it would need to have the following on its label. This salve will dispel fear, will replace fear with comfort, love, and hope. And what about joy? Couldn't that be a part of it too? Some of you have heard about the dinner party from hell that I went to about just before coming to Utah, when a woman asked me across a table of many people I barely knew, "It must have been so horrible when you were a child and knew you were a lesbian, and that you would have to go through all of the things you've gone through, all of the suffering." And then there was this big silence. But into that silence, I understood something, that my broken heart, that my lack of acceptance, that the rejection that I had faced had been my greatest gift. It had helped me understand the broken hearts of the migrants who were passing in the desert. I believe my experience has told me that however our hearts have been broken, that within that brokenness lies the balm that is needed for this moment in time. Sunday morning, November 15th, 2015. A voice within my broken heart calls me to reach out to those who are crossing our borderlands, and to the youth who are thrown out of their homes in this valley, and the parents who are now afraid that their children will be taken physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, however that plays out. And as humans, our hearts are often broken. Our parents are killed. Our children die. A church threatens to break up our family and turn our children's hearts from us. And within our broken hearts, and only here, we have a chance to understand truly the suffering of others. And I want you to know that beyond this, There are many ways our hearts are broken. I would like everyone who has had their heart broken to stand. Okay, look around. And let us allow those lucky ones who have not experienced that to feel the joy. Thank you. You may sit down. In Arizona, our friends belong to the Samaritans, a group that goes out into the desert looking for people in distress. They leave water bottles hanging from trees, and when they find people, they bandage their wounds and they listen, which is another balm. So those of you, all of you, I invite you to listen, and we will be doing this after our service. But they provide balm that salves the lives of people who are hurting very much. And there is much to do in this city. We can provide balm for those who have made it this far. We can work for justice. We can work to help people be able to live lives without fear. For those who have made their way through the desert to the city, they are working around us, often invisibly. And this is my prayer. May our fear of losing our children and the real loss of our children unite us with all who are in fear of losing their children, with the undocumented mothers and fathers who leave a note on their fridge. If I don't return, please call this friend. In this moment, let us not try just to help ourselves. Let us not just stay in this place of pain. We can for a while. That makes a lot of sense to me. But let us have that pain open our eyes to the suffering of all. The love and transformation and hard work coming out of our broken hearts, I believe, offers the only chance for this earth to heal. We are one. Could we all say that? We are one. Amen. And may it be so. And now I invite you to stand in body or spirit and sing our closing song, I Know I Can. invite you to stay standing. Too late! I would like to take this opportunity for you to give a benediction to one another. For you are the hands that must reach out and heal. And my words are only words that you, I hope with all my heart, that you take into your lives and that you find that place. So everyone who's had a broken heart, find that place. And now I want you to turn to someone near you and offer the wisdom of that broken heart. And it may have no words, that's okay. Just give them a look. And that for some, I am sure that this pain, and I hope that understanding that many others have gone through this can be a small awakening. Since we are always blessed with many visitors, and this is the time when we take a moment, if you would like to introduce yourselves to us, then this is the time. And I would also like to say that as we close that time, we're going to have an announcement about the auction. But after that, I would like any of you who would like to share your stories to stay in this sanctuary for a while and come to me. There are many here who would love to hear what is on your hearts. That I think one of the hardest parts of what Lou and I went through was that we could not share our stories with our families. And we felt as if we were surrounded by silence. And this is the balm of this place. This is a place where you can be yourself, where you can bring the story of your life in all its complexity. And it is who we are to make space for all those stories. So if that sounds like something you would like to do, please just maybe come up to the front, or else I won't know where you are. And then we can form circles of stories. Would anyone like to, please stand if you would like to introduce yourself, and I'll bring a microphone. Is there anyone here?
I'm working. What are you doing?
You need to come up here, please. Cindy and Marilyn, and I don't know if Lynn is here, Lynn Worthen? She might not be here. Okay, I just want you to see my wonderful partners in crime here. For those of you who have not paid, you need to see Colin, correct? And Cody. He has the little device that goes onto the cell phones that charges your car. Okay, so also check the back table back there. There are some things that didn't get picked up, some things that did get sold. You can still buy. Colin, do you have a list of the things that are still open to buy? Okay, he's got a lot of spots left to some of the parties in advance that he will let you know if you didn't get to buy one. So he'll put that out on the listserv, okay? And, oh, the youth last night were absolutely fabulous. I was so amazed at how well organized that Sherry and Chris were. Chris, stand up. Yeah. Sherry, I saw her earlier, but they helped organize those youth, and they did a fabulous job. To Anna Renshaw and to Anna Searles, they did a fabulous job entertaining the little kids too.
And Henry.
And Henry. Oh yes, and Henry. Okay. So this is an announcement of how much we raised. Colin and I figured that by the time we get all of the leftover spots sold and filled and people and money keeps coming in, we raised approximately $18,000. Wow. We've been holding steady at about $18,000 for about the last 3 years. I don't recall about that. So that's really wonderful. The barn entrance down there, I just want to say before I forget, if anybody wants to have that, please take it with you, because otherwise it's going to have to be demolished and thrown away. We have no place to store it in this church, okay? Pat's, okay, you can take that home, that's fine. And Lou's Lounge, yeah. And Brenda, you take home Brenda's brothel. Okay, if you see Kim or Mel Welliver, they did such a fabulous job on the food last night. I try to get Kim to cater for us every year, but she says I need about 3-year breaks. So, but she did a wonderful job. Okay, now for the hard part. Colin and I are no longer going to be a part of the auction committee. Colin, are you angry? Colin has been doing it for 10 years, and I've been doing it for 14 years. And it's just getting pretty hard for me. Pushing 69 coming up here pretty soon. But I love Colin because we just kind of work really, really well together, and I'm really going to miss working with him. But I think we need to pass the baton. So any of you talented people out there that want to take our jobs, you are so welcome to take them. And these gals are going to stick with it, okay? So support them too, and Lynn will continue to. So thank you all for your wonderful gifts, and that's about it. Thank you.
Forgotten our stories by now. But if you would like to, if you have life right now, but like to